This video is just going to look at having a little more control over the textures you add to objects. So for example, in the last video, this was all brick, but let's imagine we wanted glass in the front here. So we need to be able to tell Max how to differentiate between particular polygons. So what we're going to do, if I select that, go to the modifier panel and then polygons. I can then select all these polygons and just give them a material ID of 1, for example. And then if I click out, select ID 1, so everything here is now material ID 1, but I want to make this a different material ID. So what I'm going to do is select it and then set the material ID of this one just to 2. So now everything else is 1, and this particular polygon here has a material ID of 2. One more thing before I talk about adding textures in that way is if you want more polygons or a different arrangement of polygons, once you've selected edit poly, you can come up here, edit Swift loop, and that just allows you to add polygons in different places, for example. All right, so now that we've selected different material IDs and Max is able to differentiate between this polygon with the rest of them, I'm going to come to the material editor and open that and just search for, I'll get rid of this, it'll start again, search for a multi-sub object, and we just want to put that in here, and I'm just going to select set number of materials to 2. So we can apply this in a minute. We'll apply this to this particular object. And we're going to say everything with a material ID of 1 is going to be one particular texture. Everything with a material ID of 2 is going to be a different texture. So if you remember, material 2 was this kind of front polygon, which we want to make glass. So first of all, I'm just going to select the texture that's already on here. So highlight it, get from selected. Actually, I think I got rid of that, so I'll just add it again. This time I'm just going to drag it into the material editor. And I also want a glass, so let's come down here to glass, and we'll add just this glass here. All right. So now material ID 1 was the brick texture. So I'm just going to drag the bricks. Actually, let's bring this over here, make it easy to work with. Bricks is going to be material ID 1, and then that glass texture is going to be material ID 2. And then we need to add that sub multi object to the geometry we want. Okay, so let's go into camera 1. And I'm just going to go to interactive production rendering to see what that looks like. Obviously at the moment, these don't have a UVW map. I got rid of that. It just makes it working with the Swift loop possible. So then you'd want to, once again, add a UVW map. Make a box, and then change those parameters. There is no limit to adding different objects to the different materials to the same object. As you can see, you would just increase the amount of objects here. So instead of 2, you might have 10 or more.